Welcome to the Qatar GP race breakdown with me, F1 Mindler MS Diol. And to say this was an interesting race would be a understatement, because what the actual was that? First of all, to set some ground rules, um, for those of you who don't know or were not watching or did not give a damn to watch, pretty much what happened was uh Max Verstappen had pole position, and he lost that pole position due to a one-place grid penalty. Now, that one-place grid penalty ticked him off, and he won the race. Um, would he have won? Yeah, he won the race. Charles Leclerc came P2, and Oscar Piastri came P3. Now, you must be wondering, where the is Lando Norris? Where is Lando Norris? Well, we'll get to that. But let's start from the bottom up because this race had one, two, three, four, five DNFs. So going into turn one, first of all, if you get a chance, definitely watch the first turn of the race because you have George Russell and Max Verstappen have phenomenal starts. George Russell's in the lead. Then you have Verstappen. Verstappen is right on Norris's tail. As they're heading into turn one, you know, Lando comes out of nowhere. Verstappen gets ahead. Norris goes ahead. George loses 2 spots. And then it's Norris who almost overtakes Max Verstappen, but then it's just Max Verstappen, as he does, he squeezes on the turn, and that forces Lando to push back. Otherwise, he'll hit a wall. So that first turn was amazing. But during that time, Ocon and Colapinto unfortunately crashed into each other. This was a crash that just happened. There's no one that was particularly at fault. It's unfortunate what happened, but it is what it is. Um, sorry, it is what it is. Um, Stroll, um, no, while not involved in this crash, him, and I forget who. I think it was Stroll, and Stroll hit somebody, and as a result, he had to retire from the race. Nico Hulkenberg, again, same scenario. It was him who indirectly caused the crash between Colapinto and Ocon, and as a result, later on, a few laps afterwards, he just spun out due to the tires not having enough grip, and he crashes onto the gravel and causes a safety car. Perez climbed all the way from P10, I think he was P9 in qualifying, to P5. However, right then he had an engine issue and had to DNF from the race. But yeah, a lot of the cars were struggling with grip this race. For some reason, a lot of the teams decided to go with hard tires, which is a decision, I guess. But I don't understand why they would do that because hard tires, again, the temperatures are colder as a result. Hard tires, they take time to warm up and to get grip, but they none of the hard tires were getting enough grip and like at all. And medium tires were the perfect play. I mean, look at Fernando Alonso; he finished P7 in the Aston Martin, purely because he had mediums early on, and he had the perfect. He got them at the perfect time for the perfect range for this race. Um, but yeah, a lot of teams decided to go for hards. Clearly not the best decision, but let's talk about grid. Now let's go over the grid, how they finished, and then what happened particularly that is worth of note in the race. We have Alex Albon who finished dead last. He was in top 10 for a while. Unfortunately, just did not have the pace. And for some reason, they decided to use soft tires, which they degrade so quickly, especially on a track like this. So I really don't understand why that was a technical decision that was made. Then you have both Red Bull Visa Cash Apps. Not a good day for Red Bull Visa Cash App. Lewis Hamilton, P12. Valtteri Bottas, P10. Lando Norris, P10. Kevin Magnussen P9, Zhou Guanyu P8, Fernando Alonso P7, Charles Leclerc P6, Gasly P5, George Russell P4, and then we already talked about the three. So now, some of the most worthy things to talk about is obviously Lando Norris P10. Did that happen? Somehow, for some god stupid ass reason, the FIA stewards decided, you know what? Again, granted, he did not lift during braking during a safety car, but is it a 10-second stop and go penalty? If you guys don't know, a 10-second stop and go penalty is pretty much you have to pull in to the pit where you would usually get your tires changed, stay there for 10 seconds, and then go. If you have a general 10-second penalty, you just go, wait for 10 seconds, and then you go right away. But this is like you literally stop all your pit crew comes in like you're there about to change your tires, but they don't, and then you go, which is that 10 seconds is actually 36 seconds. Had he had not had those 36 seconds not happen, Lando Norris could have won the race. He could have, or at least guaranteed himself P2. It's unfortunate. Again, same thing happened to Lewis Hamilton. He got a 10-second penalty, not a stop and go. George Russell got a 5-second penalty for trying to gain an advantage during the safety car. Um, yeah, a lot of penalties is being thrown out. You know the meme, like, you get a penalty, you get a penalty, you get a penalty. Like, make it make sense, but it is what it is. You know, around lap 30, I want to say, I forget, I think it was Albon's car. His mirror just flew off and was on the track for a solid I think 7 to 8 laps. It was just there lying on the ground on the long straight of the Qatar GP, and there was no safety car for 4 to 5 laps. And as a result, Bottas got a puncture. So did Carlos Sainz. So did Lewis Hamilton. Those three got punctures that significantly hindered their race. Again, Lewis Hamilton was unhappy with the car. He was very upset. The car was unbalanced, and it was just a hot mess. That, plus a puncture, plus getting a 10-second penalty, just not a good day for Lewis Hamilton. I would not be surprised if he decides not to race in Abu Dhabi. He should. Obviously, last race of Mercedes, the best driving pairing there's ever been. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Carlos Sainz, had he not got the puncture, had the safety car happen earlier, he had pitted, he could have gotten P5, and he definitely had the pace to catch up to George, but it's just an unfortunate situation that he found himself in. And as a Carlos fan, I'm very upset, but it is what it is, and we have to move forward. Um, George Russell, on the other hand, um, not entirely surprising. Him getting a pole position and just him pulling shit out of his ass. There's no way he should have gotten pole position, even P2. So P4, not entirely surprised. Obviously, Leclerc is P2 purely because Lando got a massive penalty and a lot of shit happened that caused numerous gaps to happen between cars. Great race for Fernando Alonso, P7. I think this is the first points he's had in a long time. Um, and the mediums were really the best call. I mean, literally every other team, as soon as they saw Alonso making great pace, great overtaking with the mediums, everyone switched to them. Which, again, granted, you should have done that earlier. But um, also phenomenal race from Zhou Guanyu, P8, his highest finish since Canada 2022. Obviously, this year has not been a good year for Sauber, and he has been ridiculed for being last so many times. It's unfortunate that over the fall break and Vegas onwards, the car has been much better. He got P11 in Vegas. He got P8 now, and he's not going to be there next year for when Sauber might be competitive in the midfield, and even when they become Audi. So it's unfortunate that he doesn't have a seat, but there are rumors circulating that he might go as a Ferrari reserve driver. So good for him. He got driver of the day by 29% of the votes, which is crazy. That is something that does not happen very often, and he truly deserves it. A phenomenal drive, phenomenal overtaking. He's just done so well this race, and I'm so happy for Zhou Guan Yu. Because he gets shit on so much for coming last. But he's showing everyone, you give me a decent car, this is what I can do for you. And I think this race has just shown that he is that he's a good driver. I won't say phenomenal. He's a good driver if he has a good enough car. But yeah, great for him. Also driver of the day. K Mag out qualifying and outperforming Hulkenberg is also pretty amazing. It is unfortunate, however, that uh, Hulkenberg just seemed to have the worst possible luck that he could have had. Um, but it is what it is. But yeah, as we know, Lando Norris P10, but he also got fastest lap, so he got 2 points instead of the usual one. Zhou Guan Yu got four. Obviously, great racer Max Verstappen. He had pole position, lost it, which I was happy about, but it didn't matter. But yeah, he won by 6 seconds, which is a lot. Again, if Lando had been in the mix, it would have been much thinner of a gap, but it is what it is. Phenomenal drive by him. Charles Leclerc was stressing out because Norris was just zero point 0.8 of a second, eighth tenths of a second behind, which is nothing. So that was really dicey. Um, Phenomenal from Pierre Gasly. I forgot to mention, Pierre Gasly is now what? They got 10 points. They're now sixth in the constructors cup, which is $30 million. They overtook Red Bull, who's a cash app, and they overtook Haas with one race left to go. Let's actually take a look at this right now. 2024 constructors, and I think. Wait, what does it say? Okay, people just like to make any headlines. Okay, so yes, um, Alpine is now 4 points ahead of Haas. So they're now P6 in the Constructors' Cup. This is obviously great for them, especially considering that they are fighting for the midfield. Obviously, Aston Martin is still king of the midfield this season, but Alpine has been putting in work in these past few races. Brazil, you look at Vegas, you look at this race where he got P5. I think Alpine is just time and time again being like, we still have it. We're still good. Haas, unfortunate, but it's 4 points, still a battle. Red Bull Visa Cash App is at eighth. They're staying eighth, and nothing's happening there. They would need a miracle to happen for them to overtake any Haas or for Haas or Alpine. They would need a miracle. The battle between Alpine and Haas is going to go very strong going into the season. Because the thing is, Haas turned it around starting Austin, so it's phenomenal to sort of see the improvement. Williams is stuck at 9. Nothing's gonna happen. Hopefully they can do better because Carlos is going there next year, but it is whatever. And Kick Sauer no longer has 0 points. They have 4 thanks to Zhou Guan Yu. And hopefully, I'm hoping, um, that they can get Valtteri Bottas a point um, in Abu Dhabi. Now, talking about Abu Dhabi, the points between McLaren and Ferrari is very close. It is a 640 to 619. I am not wanting to do math, so I will just have my handy dandy calculator do it for me. 640 minus 619. What is 640 minus 619? What is 640 minus 619? What is 640 minus 619? All right. It is 21 points. 21 points of a gap between McLaren and Ferrari. That is bonkers close. Now, McLaren needs they obviously need to do better than Ferrari, but they need a 1-2 if they want to win. Ferrari needs a 1-2 if they want to have a win, or a 1-3 would also work. Anyways, both teams to have the best possible chance of winning are going to need both drivers on the podium. And this is personally for me, this is like Abu Dhabi 21, but for the constructors, because this is very close. It can swing it any way. There is no clear victor, and the weather in Abu Dhabi is hot, slightly cooler, but it's still quite warm. And that is a weather that is both conditional to both Ferrari and for McLaren. And they have both been preparing for that show off in Abu Dhabi. We knew it was going to happen, but this is just crazy. And hopefully Ferrari can take it. I truly want Ferrari to win. But either way, it will be the first time in a decade either team has won, and it'll just be phenomenal for both teams to have something to celebrate. Obviously, this race, massive swing in points in Ferrari's direction. They got P2 and P6 versus McLaren had P3 and P10. But yeah, I think this is just going to be crazy heading into Abu Dhabi and the final race of this iconic, historic, show stopping, magnificent season of Formula